Hi, I'm Luis, and I am totally blind.
And I'm Gianna, and we are back with you for another show, but this time we're not talking about movies. We're actually going to answer some questions, but these are actually going to be Luis's questions, mostly from me, and next time we're going to have a part two where he's going to be answering my questions, but today we're actually going to be talking about movies, TV, music, our favorite stuff, books, technology, maybe, media stuff.
Right.
And so this is a good way for you guys to find out about us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is just, I guess, a little more information, or just kind of some of our interests, or I mean, just a little bit about us, like Diana was saying. Like as far as
Mm-hmm.
we've said anything about us, all I've said is just that I'm blind, but it wasn't always like that. I lost my eyesight like 10 years ago, but I have still been watching movies, quote unquote. And there's a lot of things that we could talk about at a later time. But for this time, or for now, we're just gonna, I guess, ask each other just random questions related to media. Like Diana was
Mm-hmm.
saying about movies, technology, TV shows,
Yep.
just any kind of random question, just to see what we think of things
Yep.
and how we kind of process things, I guess. Uh so
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Are you ready, do you think, or what do you want to start with?
Um, okay, so you mentioned that you are totally blind, that you
Uh-huh.
lost your vision.
10 years ago. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was born with a visual impairment, and I'm partially sighted. But of course, being visually impaired doesn't mean that we don't enjoy life and other things. So that's
Right.
basically why we are telling you more about ourselves. And like I said, we kind of came up with our own questions, and I know that Luis has a bunch, and so do I. But for now, we'll let him take over and ask some of the questions that he wants to know about, some of the stuff that I've been up to and all that.
Okay. Well, like we said, our movies are kind of inspired by, I guess, the media, right? So
Our questions.
our questions, right. So I guess based on the Aladdin, like Diana, if you had three wishes, what would you wish for?
Mm. Oh man, that's a good question. And kind of hard too. But
Yeah.
if I had three wishes, I think it would be really cool to be able to appear like anywhere I wanted to be, whenever I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a good one. Also, I would want to have the power to heal people by just
Uh,
touching them without people knowing that I could do that. Because I think if everyone knew I could, then they might just kind of like swarm me, and I
right.
don't really always like to be around so many people.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I wouldn't want people to know that I could do it, but I
Right.
would want to be able to help people that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always had dreams where I could like fly,
Mm-hmm.
and so it always feels so good. So that would be kind of cool to be able to do that.
Right.
So I think those would be my wishes: to be able to fly, to be able to heal people, and to be able to just appear anywhere I wanted
Right.
to, whenever I wanted to. And that's because I have two families. I have family in Belize, and I also have family in Michigan. Like my parents, like I have two sets of parents and brothers and sisters that are in Belize and Michigan. So like I
Right.
could be there, here, anywhere,
Well,
anytime I
that's
wanted
very
to.
interesting, but
So
it's more like a adoption, not really like, or what? Can you
yeah.
explain that? Because it's a little confusing, or
Oh, it is, and it's a
it's a
long
long story.
story, but basically, since I was born in Belize, visually impaired, I couldn't go to school there, and I like there was a group of people that found me, the Lions Club, and I came here with a family that the dad was like a doctor, and so like I've kind of just stayed in touch with the family when I was younger, and I came for eye surgery. And then I started going to school in the US and kind of like got my education here. And then, so then I was kind of like an exchange student, but a little bit more because I would more or less, I lived here and then visited Belize. And now I'm the opposite way. Like I come here sometimes and mostly live in Belize. So that's the short version of the story.
That's
So
very interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I
So,
just
but then Louis,
uh-huh.
yeah,
Well, I just wanted to clarify because if you say like two families, people might think that it's like your dad or your mom
yeah.
remarried or something like that. Because I know
No, I
your story
know.
is very
Yeah,
very different from what's not typical at
yeah,
all. It's very different. And your answers did
yeah.
surprise me as far as your three wishes. They're very different from what I guess most people would wish for. Because like
So,
I,
yeah,
I'm
like what would
I'm
you wish for? I'm
my answers would
curious.
be more like the typical ones, like you
Okay, what is
know,
it? What is it?
money is like the first thing people would wish for. Like,
Okay, I don't want to know about other people. I want to
yeah,
know about
which is
you.
me,
Like
because
what?
I
Okay,
fit I
money.
fit those. I would think I would fit those. So I think like wealth, right? Like
Mhm.
money would be one, and then
Okay.
health, I guess, would be a
Yep.
second one, which is
That's a good one. That is.
right. But you're the one doing the healing in your wishes, so you're being like
So maybe I
Jesus
could
or
I
something.
could I could be healed as well,
Right,
So that would
exactly.
help me out.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Okay, right. And then my third one, oh, that would be
Mhm.
kind of a little harder to think of. Um,
Huh.
but the trick would be
Well, then
because the loophole would be, I would wish for more wishes, right? But that's kind of like, you can't do that
no.
because that's
You
like
have to think
the,
about Aladdin, yeah, and
exactly,
how he
Aladdin.
that was one of yeah, that
Yeah,
was one of the ones you could provisios he called it,
right.
right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I
So
don't know if
one
I would save
more.
the third wish for another time, or like you, it would be that also teleportation. That would be a good one, just because of. I think for blind people, that would be a very good one, because a lot of people have trouble with transportation or getting around. So for
Mhm.
sure, that would
That's
be
true.
a very convenient one. So yeah, I would say
Mhm.
teleportation would be my third wish, and that kind of leads me to my second question to you, which is kind
Oh.
of you're gonna have to pick one of your two powers, I guess.
Mhm.
Because my question to you is, if you could have one superpower, what would it be
Yep.
and why? So you kind of chose two.
Hmm. Okay, okay. My superpower, I think, would be, and this is hard because there's so many different things or places you could go with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be able. Okay, it would be kind of like when I could heal people, but this would be, I would want to be able to touch people and make them forget their worries, or to make them feel happy
Right.
or pain free for a time, right?
Uh-huh.
Because I mean, lately it seems like I know a lot of people that suffer from anxiety
Mm-hmm.
or are unhappy, and like I like to cheer people up and make them happy,
Right.
and I just think that I know so many people that I could like help that way, just like
Right.
by putting a hand on their shoulder or whatever, to be able to just make them feel better for a time and stuff. I think that would be a kind of a cool power,
Right. So
you know?
like a psychologist type of counselor. Well, that would be like the profession, but that's really like
The power of touch again,
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like pretty much getting all those therapy sessions just in with a touch and get that effect of making people feel
Mhm.
better. So you're very
Yeah.
very benevolent.
Yeah.
You're not at all compared to a lot of people.
Okay, what would you pick saying that? Like,
Uh,
what would be your
it would either
superpower?
be like flying or teleportation, which I guess those
Oh.
would be one of those two. I guess just able to get somewhere fast,
Mhm.
right? That would be it, I guess.
But those are good ones. I like those too. Like,
Uh
I
huh.
mean, that could be options for me too. Like I
Right.
said, I would want to know what it feels like to fly. So
Right.
I always thought, like in heaven, we're gonna know because I feel like heaven's gonna be one of
Hmm.
those places where we could fly.
Right. Right.
So,
Right. No, yeah, for sure. I mean, so far you're very like unique, very not typical with your answers. So that's very interesting.
okay,
That's good. That's a good thing. Just saying.
all
Um,
right.
okay, and then
So your third question.
since you watched Groundhog's Day recently, if you
Mm-hmm.
could
I did.
relive one day over and over, which day would you pick and why?
Okay, first of all, I think you haven't watched Groundhog's Day, but you said there's a lot of movies like
Yes.
that where people relive their day.
Yeah.
And so, but I still think you need to watch Groundhog's Day
Oh,
because
for
that's
sure I
an
do.
older movie,
Yeah.
and I loved it. And I just like, oh, this is an older movie that I
Hmm.
haven't seen, so I need to watch it, and I did. But if I could live any day again, I think it would be like a summer day when I was younger and innocent. Maybe when I was happy and carefree and just hanging out with friends. That was like fun times. it's different now when you're older, you know more things, and it's not the same. So I think it'd be cool to be like a kid again in the summer, is what I
Right.
think.
No, that would be
So it'd be
good.
one of those days.
No,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah.
What
For me,
what about you?
maybe. Well, there's so many days, and it's really hard to pick out one, right? But it might
Yeah, I know.
be. I guess I lived in Mexico for a year when I was in. Well, it was 1994, so I was like 8 years old. So, I
Mhm.
mean, I haven't been back to Mexico since then. So maybe any of those days, like
Mhm.
the good days, maybe when I got to see relatives that I really haven't seen since then. So it would be good to relive a day
Mhm.
when they would kind of I think because we had our aunt there and several people that would kind of visit, so maybe a day that they came over and we went to like I think we went to like a water park. So I guess that day, the day that they came over when we were in Mexico at the
Mhm.
time, and we went to like a water park together, so it was like a good amount of family members. So I guess that would be my day to relive over and over. But
Oh.
but like in the movie, it would get tiring. but but yeah, it'd
Yeah.
just be something different, just since I haven't seen
So you
them
would
in
you
forever.
would have to love your relatives like a lot to be able to
Uh,
relive that day over and over
right.
again, you
I think
know.
I'd be tired of them by by the second day, or by half the day probably. I'm not sure.
Okay, but remember, well, you didn't see Groundhog's Day, but I think he was like stuck in that same day
Exactly.
for a couple months, or
Yeah.
at least maybe three. So
Right.
yeah, you have to pick a day that you would want to live that long, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the
So.
thing, like I think no matter in all those movies, it kind of like no matter how good the day is, or in those cases like
Mhm.
the day ends up being like ruined for whatever reason, and they have to find like whatever makes the day,
Mhm.
like whatever fixes the loop. That's kind of the trope that
Yeah, or
happens in other movies.
they. I think in this case, like he was helping other people and
Oh wow.
finding ways to make life better for other people.
Oh
Because at
wow.
first he was just like, oh, like he was
Oh
like pretty
okay.
much trying to kill himself because
Oh
he
wow.
couldn't take.
Spoiler.
Oh yeah,
What was it, like
yeah,
50-year-old spoiler?
yeah. I know
Yeah,
exactly.
for me,
Yeah,
but
totally.
my brother liked the movie actually, because I showed it to him a few months ago and he liked it. I just don't know why I
Okay.
didn't watch it with him. I just said, "Hey, you should watch this," but I didn't watch it.
Well, now you have two people
Oh
telling
yeah.
you the same thing, so
Oh
give in
yeah.
to the peer pressure and do
Oh,
it.
and it's a classic, so for sure I need to
Yes,
really
that's
watch
why
that.
I like being able to catch up on
Right.
classics that I've never seen.
Yeah.
It's awesome, you know.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and if you watch movies in the future that have that living the day over and over, like you'll know that like that was the one that started the whole trend. And I'm surprised you haven't seen
mhm.
movies like that, because there's a couple. Okay,
I
but
know. I don't usually watch sci-fi stuff if I don't have to, so that
right.
might be why. But I
Um,
knew that this one was a little bit like comedic,
right.
so that's I think kind of what drew me to it, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, and it's not just the sci-fi thing. I've seen it in other like genres, like that, like a little bit drama or comedy, different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my fourth question to you is which movie or TV
Mhm.
character do you? I mean, what is your favorite movie or TV character as far as like well, I don't know, like let's say Eric Foreman from that 70 show, or what is your favorite character, and then which character do you relate to the most personally for whatever reason, and then explain the reason.
Okay, TV character. Well, back in the day, I think it was probably in the 90s when I was like a kid, I used to love this one show called Small Wonder.
Uh huh.
I don't know if you've ever seen it or heard of it,
No.
but it was about this girl robot. Her name was
Oh.
Vicky.
Uh huh.
And I don't know, like she was just awesome. Like in the song, it said that she was pretty and bright with soft curls, and she was learning a lot of new things because she was a robot. She didn't know
Hmm.
anything about being a person, you know.
Right.
So I felt like at that time I had come from Belize and was just going to school and everything. So I was learning a lot of things
Wow.
like her. And she's also like a character that was funny, and she seemed magical, of course, because she could do things that other humans could not. But at the same time, she was flawed.
Hmm.
And she was a great reminder that, you know, even if we are strong and all those things, none of us are perfect. So I really loved her as as a TV character. And let's see, what was the next part of your question?
I think you
Which
kind of
movie or
explained
TV?
it because you kind of that's
No,
how you related to her, or there's someone else that you like would relate to.
well, then you said which movie or TV character do I think I relate to?
Mm-hmm.
But really, actually, she was my person that I watched on TV. But what character did I relate to?
Mm-hmm.
There's another one actually from a movie, and she's a book character that I loved a lot. And maybe you've heard of this one. It's Anne of Green Gables.
I figured you were going that way. Okay.
Okay, maybe you know me well enough. But anyway, her name was Anne Shirley.
Right.
And she was, from one of my favorite books that I loved, and also from like the movie. And I just liked her a lot because she has a good imagination. She loves to write. She's got like in the book, there's a lot of reflective conversations with her friends, and she's young at heart. And I feel like I'm kind of those things. And she was also like an orphan girl, which
Right.
I mean, I wasn't exactly an orphan, but I grew up feeling as though I had like been adopted,
Adopted, right.
and by my second family.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always felt we had a lot in common because I was kind of like, I'm in a new family.
Yeah, like a fish
you know,
out
like,
of water
I don't know.
type of thing.
Yeah, and learning a lot of things too. Like she was making mistakes and just learning from the mistakes. So yeah, basically those were the two people that I related to most, and I still love that show, and I still love Anne.
Wow.
Like I could read those books like
Right.
anytime I'm feeling bad, you know.
Right.
So
No, that's good.
those are my two people. What about you?
I'm like very lost with this one, and I asked you the question, so I'm like,
Well, the question, remember, was what's your favorite
Yeah.
movie or TV character?
yeah.
And which movie or TV character do you think you relate to the most?
I would say like my favorite TV or like character, it'd be like a superhero. It'd be like either like Spider-Man or Daredevil. I'm gonna say Daredevil would be like my favorite movie character, I guess. Just for the blindness, he's blind but he's a superhero and he's a lawyer, so I guess just being blind but being having the super abilities and stuff. And I know it's kind of it's not real, and sometimes people think like, okay, you're I don't know, sometimes people feel exploited, like you're kind of not being realistic, there's a lot of things that people sometimes, I don't know, get too offended by. But I like it. I like that he's like quote unquote disabled, but he's like a superhero. I think that's that's a cool thing. And then because I know some people like nowadays, they'll get offended for anything, so I think that's actually
you
really
don't.
cool. Yeah.
You don't try to take yourself too seriously or
no.
anything.
No, because even then, I know some people, like if people dress up like, oh, you're not blind, but you're dressing up like a blind person, or this and that, like people get offended for anything. Like let's say for Halloween or something like that. I mean, people would just get very. I mean, we
I
live in
might
a
get
very,
a little. I would say I might get a little bit offended at that.
Well, I think it
Or
depends.
sometimes-
Like, let's say, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that'd be fine. But let's say it's like, oh, someone like, who doesn't need a wheelchair, they get in a wheelchair. Like that'd be a different level, I think. You know what I mean? Like if they, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't even-
I think it depends on the day and it depends
Right.
on your
Oh,
mood,
exactly.
because sometimes I get offended when people say, "What, are you blind or something?" Like they say that about other people who are
Right.
searching for things that can't
yeah, yeah.
find stuff, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, "Excuse me,"
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
funny.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I
So
guess.
yeah, I get you.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the intention, right? I guess it's more about the
Yeah.
intention too. So,
Yep.
so Daredevil would be
Totally.
my favorite TV character, and then I guess one that I might, not that I relate to him a lot, but I guess maybe, I don't know if you ever saw Malcolm in the Middle.
Nope.
Okay, that
I
was
did
a
not.
that was a funny show. So pretty
Yeah,
much,
I
I'd
knew
say he was like a. I mean, just because of his family, there was always a lot of stuff going on or whatever. So maybe in that aspect, just kind of having a brother and a sister. Just there's always kind of things going on or whatever. I mean, more for the drama, I guess. So I mean, I really
So
don't.
you feel like, so you relate to being in the middle kind of thing.
Technically, I guess in that aspect, because it's kind of like I'm in the middle by a minute. So not that it's like, but
Hey, that sounds like a good book title,
in the middle by
or
a
a good
minute.
yeah.
Like very technical, right? Yeah, but I guess
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So I kind of am in the middle technically, but I guess
Yeah.
that's the only
Right.
reason because I really don't think I relate to anybody a whole lot.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question to you will be if you could have lunch with any personality, like any media personality, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Okay. So when you said media personality, I thought of like I'm thinking of the news.
Uh-huh.
So then
Um
I guess.
well, it's I meant to say like it could be a celebrity, like a movie
Okay.
star,
Okay.
like anybody at all, like a news anchor,
Hmm.
I guess I should have said a person, like a celebrity, I guess, which could also
All
include
right.
like
Well.
an author, you know.
Oh. Well, that changes things up a lot, I
Uh-huh.
guess. Because
Like any
media, I was
famous
thinking.
person. I guess any famous
Yeah.
person is the question then.
All right. So famous person.
Mm-hmm.
I would think maybe Audrey Hepburn.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always liked her, like as an actress. I still do. She just seems so cool and just awesome. And author, well, Lucy Maud Montgomery,
Uh,
the writer of Anne of Green Gables,
uh-huh.
Emily of New Moon.
Right.
Like I know there's like so many good authors and like just like they keep coming with new
Right.
authors that are great, but like I don't know, like her books I think are what got me reading.
Wow.
So like I would might pick her or I don't know, like one of the newer authors maybe too. Like maybe I would just want to be with like some author, like either John Grisham or her
Right.
or Charles Dickens, somebody
Right.
like that.
That's
Like
interesting.
that would probably be my people, I
No, that's
say.
cool. That's cool. That's good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Uh
why? Because I love writing and I love reading.
right.
So
Oh
that would be
yeah.
my reason why.
Exactly.
So
No, that makes
what about
sense.
you? Yeah, what about you? Who would you want to hang
Um
out with?
it's that'd be very hard, right?
Yeah,
I would maybe
but you.
yeah, I know. Maybe if I could think just that someone off the top of the of my head, it might be Stanley. I don't know if you know who he is. He's the famous animator and creator of all these
Famous.
superhero comics. So him, he died
Cr-
recently. He died a couple years ago. Stanley?
Oh, did you say creator or
Yeah,
narrator?
no, creator, animator. Like he would draw
Oh.
and create characters. Like he came up with a Fantastic Four, Spider-Man.
Mhm.
So he was.
Mhm.
I mean, he's a big like. I'm kind of a nerd, so that's like a big. He's a big deal to, nerds, quote unquote. Like no offense, right? But he's a big. He's a big deal to that community, the nerd community, because of
Right.
pretty much
Oh,
every Marvel movie that comes out, he's had influence on, and then he died just a few years ago. So I guess
okay.
he would be somebody that I would like to have like lunch with, just to ask him like what his inspirations were, and he seemed very nice from like the little stories that I've heard about him. Very
Yeah.
very giving, not very like not full of himself. So he was very humble for being as famous and as rich as he was. So I guess he would be
Right.
the person I wouldn't mind having lunch with at all.
Okay. I'm sure you would have a good time. It
I'm
sounds like you
sure.
would.
And it seems like he wouldn't eat that much, so he might give me some of the food. So that's another thing.
Yeah, I guess you kind of know what he looks like then. Is he a
Yeah.
skinny guy or
Yeah,
something?
he's like
Oh,
he
okay.
was like a skinny old man by the time. I think he died like in his 90s, so he got to live a long
Oh,
life.
awesome. He would eat healthy stuff probably is why
Right.
he lived so long.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Well,
cool.
yeah, I think you've already kind of answered this question without really meaning to. But you could just expand
Okay,
on
what
it. What is your favorite
okay.
all-time book and why?
Oh, yeah. I kind of did. Well, I actually have a lot of favorite books. So, like, kind of, I did say Anne of Green Gables, the series was a great one because of Ella Montgomery books were great. And,
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot of poetry. Like, I just love poetry. And I learned a lot about, well, actually, she didn't have poetry in the Anne of Green Gables book, but she did in some of her other books. And then this one is just like, don't judge people by the cover.
Right.
But I guess I also like one of the other books that I liked a lot was like Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis.
Right.
and the Bible. So like I
Right.
mean, and then besides that, there's so many other books that influenced me, but
Right.
I think these might be my top three.
Yeah.
Like the Anne books, because I read them when I'm sick still, and
Right.
I could read them like maybe every other year or every year. And
Right.
then Mere Christianity by
Right.
C.S. Lewis. The Bible, I always read that.
Uh-huh.
So like I've read it several times or more than
Right.
several times,
That's
but
good.
always a good book.
Yeah. For me, it would be the Bible. That would be my favorite book. So that would be my
Yeah.
answer.
Look,
Just, I mean, we read it like very often at church, and
yep.
there's just so many things in there that you can read it one
Mhm.
time and then you read it another
Yep.
time and you read the same thing and it's just a whole different. It just
Yeah.
stands out a whole different way. So it just depends. It's one of those very.
Totally.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah. So for sure
hmm
that would
And
be
you
my
and you
favorite.
know, for a time they were trying to make movies. I mean, they're
Yes.
always gonna keep.
Yeah.
But I mean, like even I don't know, like you probably don't watch telenovelas and stuff like that, but
You'd be
and I don't
surprised.
either.
Oh,
But
okay. Then
well,
never
I
mind. I
don't
don't.
really.
Yeah, me either. My mom watches it. I'm just there sometimes.
Right? Yeah, yeah. That's
Even when
what
she's
I was
not
gonna say.
there, I'm there. Right.
My mom used to watch them. She doesn't as much anymore,
Mhm.
but for a while they were like taking out like all these books and
Yeah.
making them into like telenovelas
Yeah.
and stuff. And so I never really watched them, but I thought maybe it would be interesting to watch. But
Right.
like they go in and out of like let's make some, and then they would make tons of Bible movies. Most of them were like
Right.
inaccurate, but it's
Yeah.
just fun to
Exactly.
see what they'll do.
Yeah. Cause
But I'm just saying.
yeah. I remember. I think
Hmm.
years ago, my mom was watching something on the Spanish. I think it was Telemundo or something, and then I was like, "What is that?" Because
Yeah.
it sounds like it doesn't sound like they're speaking themselves. Like it was dubbed, and I think there was maybe I don't know from what country it was coming from, right?
Oh, I think that the Brazilians do a lot of
Oh,
those kind of
okay.
things.
That makes sense
Yeah.
then. Yeah, it was probably one of those then. And
Yeah.
I'm guessing it was like in Portuguese or something. And it was like, I asked, "What is this?" She's, "Oh, it's Joseph." And I guess,
Yeah,
"Oh, okay."
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, wow, I didn't know that they were doing that." And then like another one was about, I think, Moses or something.
Oh yeah.
So
Hmm.
yeah, I was surprised when I heard that they were like actually making them into like novelas, and I was like, "Oh wow, they must have added tons of stuff, you know."
Well,
But
they
that was
don't really
interesting.
have. I mean, they do have bad stuff, but not like. I'm just saying that the Bible actually has a lot of exciting books,
Oh
and
yeah,
like you know how you read a book and no, you feel like no one else has read it, and you're like, oh,
right,
this would make a great movie. Well, I think that when I read the Bible, like a lot of times, like you forget what you read,
right,
and then next time you read it, you're like, oh, this would be a great movie. And so a
right,
lot of
right.
people have gotten that idea and have
Yeah,
made money out of these
yeah,
um, parts of the Bible, either making novelas
right,
or making a new movie or writing a
right.
books based on like Bible characters, you know?
Right. Well,
So,
even the themes like the prodigal son, the prodigal son and
mhm.
different like a lot of themes, biblical themes are often, added to movies. They just kind of change. Well, they change a lot, but as far as like the themes, the messages and stuff like that, sometimes they do get incorporated into, well, books and movies, especially like when it comes to, well, it's a scary book, but the book of Revelation, all the apocalypse
Mhm.
and things like that. There's a lot of things that I don't know. It's always like the end of the world and different things like those.
Yeah.
So it's always like, I mean, it's a
Yeah.
very influential book for sure, and
Yep.
for
I
sure,
have not seen very many of those movies,
right.
but the only one I remember kind of what like that I saw was
Mhm.
Armageddon a
Oh,
long time
okay.
ago.
Right,
But
right.
I mean,
And that
I
had
just
nothing
think
to
of
do
that.
with yeah,
Yeah.
right,
But I just remember the end of the world and
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Like
right,
Save the World. Well, there's a lot of those kind of movies,
yeah,
but
yeah. And going back to
like I haven't.
that, uh-huh.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say I have not seen other movies where like the world's gonna end or
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
that's just
Yeah,
yeah.
there's been a lot.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know.
there's been a lot of them. Going back to that, what is your favorite and your least favorite? I guess stick to movies or maybe books too. Genres like, what's your
Oh, well,
favorite movie genre and your least favorite movie genre?
okay. Okay, we'll go with movies.
Okay.
Well, least favorite, of course. When I was in high school, my friends and I used to watch a lot of this, like like when we could, because like my mom here in the U.S. does not approve and didn't approve, but we have a nice basement, so we would just go up and watch like scary movies.
Right.
Or we'd go to them because they were popular then, like in the
Right.
90s and 2000s. 2000s really. So then, like, horror movies are not my favorite now. Then they kind of used to be, and
Uh-huh.
I just go with the flow.
Right.
And I don't really like sci-fi movies as much. I mean, I know that they're better than they
Uh-huh.
used to be,
Right.
but like I'm just saying, like the stuff that's like on Sci-Fi Channel, like
Oh, okay.
ones about like big cockroaches or
Well,
big bugs
those
or
are like the cheesy ones, like or
that's
Sharknado.
what I'm
Sharknado
saying.
is like
Yeah,
ridiculous. Like that's just can't be
yeah.
on purpose. But yeah, no,
No, but I'm
I
just
don't
saying
like it
those
when
are
it's to
the
that extent. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Like I think they made a movie in Belize called Mega Piranhas, and
Oh
because it
wow.
was made in Belize, I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. But
Right.
I was like, oh man, I just wasted like about 2 hours
Right.
watching this movie.
Right. Well,
But
then
I watched it.
you mentioned it last time too, the killer tomatoes from outer space or different things like those. Like those are just
Yeah, that was a cartoon, so that
uh-huh.
made it a little bit better. But
Okay.
it was when I was a kid. But yeah, so I'm not big on sci-fi like those kinds. I will watch other ones that are,
Right.
I guess, better made and probably more for the movies. But most of them I just think are silly.
Right. And for
And
me,
then,
uh-huh.
well, then my other genre that I did like I am not crazy about
Mhm.
because of being visually impaired would be the action movies.
Right. Right.
Because they're a little bit hard to follow.
Mhm.
Sometimes you don't know who the good guys are and who are the bad guys. So that would be my other
Uh-huh.
reason why I don't watch action movies as much.
Okay.
So yeah, you were saying
For me, it's the
oh,
opposite. Okay. What
the
else do you have to
opposite.
add?
What is no? Because you said worst. Like, what is my least favorite? But
Yeah.
then I thought you wanted favorite. But go ahead, tell me your least favorites.
Well, my least favorite would be horror.
Least
I just
favorite.
don't like horror. My sister loves horror. It seems like that's all she watches. And for me, that's like
Mhm.
my least favorite is horror. I just kind of I don't know, and
Mhm.
especially being blind now,
Mhm.
because we're watching.
All you hear is the music.
Well, that happened with that other movie. It's just that was a more of an audio descriptive malfunction movie. But I meant
Uh-huh.
as far as we were watching a movie sometime back. Like I had kind of, I had recently lost my eyesight at that point, and I didn't know about audio
Mhm.
description or anything yet. And one of my friends, he said we should watch this scary movie. So it was like my brother and maybe two or three of our friends were watching some scary movie. And I don't know,
Mhm.
he was kind of he said, okay, these are I forgot what it was, but they were like creatures that would come out at night or in the darkness, something like that. And he was describing
Uh-huh.
them to me. And in my mind, I pictured them like a lot more, like, in my mind, I picture things a lot worse than what they were in actuality, right? So he was like, oh, I was just imagining, like, my imagination got like way worse than what they actually were. Over here,
They
like,
got the better of you,
pretty
kind
much,
of
because
thing.
yeah, like over here they might be looking like puppets, but in my mind they're looking like demons with claws. You know what I mean? A lot more like.
Uh,
So that was like,
yeah, that's why I don't watch scary movies because I don't like imagining demons
even
with
worse,
claws.
right? Or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and regardless of that, even when I could see, that wasn't really my at all my
Yeah.
preference. This is kind of like not really my genre at all. So for sure, horror would be my least favorite, and then opposite of you, I think science fiction and action would be probably among my favorite. Because
Mm.
all the superhero movies are sci-fi and action and all that
Yeah, they
stuff.
are. They are
Yeah,
totally.
so that would be I guess my favorite movie genres would be like those. And I think the even superheroes, it's become its own genre now. Like,
Mhm.
because
Totally.
since they started making those movies, and even those movies have like different kind of genres to them. Because I know the Captain America movies, they're kind of more like spy-ish, like spy action kind of things, and then there's others that are kind of a little more like more on
Mhm.
the mysterious side. Like there's Doctor Strange, and now there's gonna be, you know, yeah, pretty much the Doctor Strange movies. Those are more like a little more of the mystic. I don't know. It's kind of like the
Yeah.
superhero genre kind of divides into other genres within itself. So it's kind of that's kind of cool or interesting. And comedy, there's a lot of comedy to them too. My next
Mhm.
question
Some
to
of them, yeah.
you would be, what is your favorite movie soundtrack?
Okay, before I answer that,
Uh-huh.
I will tell you what my favorite movies are.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And so like
Do you
I
have an
love
idea?
a movie music. Yeah, I love movie musicals
Okay.
and movies based on true stories,
Okay.
as well as books and rom-coms, right? Um, but I'm not really that sure about movie soundtracks. Like the only ones that I can really think about is The Little Mermaid,
Mm-hmm.
because I love that movie. It's a
Uh-huh.
Disney one,
Right.
and also Grease. Grease is a good movie,
Yeah, yeah, my sister loved that.
and then like probably the soundtrack from The Greatest Showman would be a good
Oh,
one.
that's a good
I
one.
haven't really, yeah, but I don't really keep up with movie soundtracks that much.
Uh-huh.
But if I had to pick, it would be like those ones,
Yeah. No, those are
movies
good.
like the ones, yeah,
Yeah.
ones you hear over and over.
Yeah, the
So
Greatest
yeah,
Showman soundtrack I liked. Yeah, there was a
okay,
yeah, so that I like that one. But my favorite all-time movie soundtrack would probably be The Lion King, just because of
okay,
I think it's more like nostalgia and growing up with that. So I think growing up I saw The Lion King a lot, so pretty much
okay.
I knew the songs and all that. So I think that's why I guess it's my favorite one, more for like nostalgia than
Mhm.
anything else, I guess.
Right.
My next question would be, did you ever or did you ever have
Mhm.
a crush on a celebrity, or like who would be your favorite celebrity, and did you ever have a crush on a celebrity? Like as far as who your favorite celebrity is, it could be male or female, but the crush, obviously it'd be like an actor.
Yeah. Okay. So favorite actor or actress? I don't know. There's like a bunch, like you said, like Audrey Hepburn, like I mentioned before. I just have always liked her and her movies. Cameron Diaz, Jennifer Aniston, Rebel Wilson always makes me laugh. Reese Witherspoon, I've been watching her forever because she's been acting since she was a kid.
Right.
Then there's Sandra Bullock. Then there's, like, I don't know, there's a lot. Tom Hanks, Matthew McConaughey. Would be a crush one. I'm not Tom Hanks, but
Right.
Matthew McConaughey.
Right. Yeah, Tom Hanks would be
And-
like your dad, kind of.
yeah, exactly. But really, when it comes to crushes, I had a crush on like two TV guys, and that would have been like Dean Cain. He used to play like
Superman.
Superman,
Yeah.
Adventures of Lois and Clark.
Right.
I had a huge crush on him, and kind of had a crush on Matt Damon.
Okay.
When I was younger, and Joe Lando was in this show called Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman,
Okay.
and I just like was in love with him. Like he's way older than I am, but I just remember being in 5th grade and middle school and being like, "Oh, he's so cute," and all this, But now I'm not really a crushy person, but those were my people.
Right.
And so what about you? Like, who have you
Um,
crushed on, and what actors do you like?
Well, my favorite actor would be Leonardo DiCaprio. So I guess just
Uh
him
huh.
because of the range of movies he's made, and pretty
Mhm.
much, I mean, for the most part, he's very like I guess he seems picky with his movies. Like he just doesn't just kind of make anything. Like right now Nicolas Cage just makes about any kind of movie, so it's kind of
Mhm.
like I guess Leonardo DiCaprio. I respect like I guess his acting talent, and then I guess the movies he makes. For the most part, they all are very interesting. There's
Uh huh.
so I like him as an actor. And then I guess my
Cool.
my crushes would be the Emmas, maybe Emma Stone and Emma Watson. So I guess
Oh.
they're somewhat. I guess their appearance, from what I know, and
I thought you were gonna say the Emmas, and then you were gonna go back to Cruella
no,
DeVille.
no. I'm sure she's, but like Emma Stone and Emma Watson, not the other one. Emma Thompson is the third one, right?
Thompson.
Yeah, not her, not her. I'm more
Well,
like,
you said the Emmas, so you
yeah.
could include Emma
Yeah, well,
Thompson.
there's tons of Emmas, right? Well, maybe not so many. They're probably like the only three that I know that are celebrities.
Yeah.
So I guess yeah, they would be my Emma Stone and Emma Watson. I guess because I guess the way Emma Watson was in Harry Potter, those things. But not that I saw them like a lot, but I guess just her. The also
Mhm.
the accent. I like the accents. Like I like British accents, Australian accents.
Oh yeah,
Um,
you sound like me.
yeah,
I'm digging those
yeah.
accents as well.
And there's a celebrity right now, but I don't know if you know her, Alicia Vikander. I don't know where she's from.
Vikander.
Yes, her
Mhm.
Vikander. Uh huh. Yeah, I like her. I like her voice and her accent.
Okay.
So I like, oh yeah.
I'll have to. I'll
Hmm.
have to listen because I'm not. I've heard of her name, but I don't really know who she is
Yeah,
exactly. So
she
I'll
came
have
out
to
in
check her out.
well, she was like the new Tomb Raider. There was like a new Tomb Raider movie, the most recent Tomb Raider movie. She came out in that, and before that, she
Mm-hmm.
came out in Ex Machina. And I liked her in that movie
Hmm.
in Ex Machina. It's like a, well, that was sci-fi, and she's pretty much like a robot in that movie, but it's kind of
Okay.
uh, like a robot if it can kind of like be human or not. It's just one of those kind of sci-fi premises, right? So, but
Mm-hmm.
I like the way she acted in that movie. So I liked her since then, I
All
guess.
right.
And then my last question to you would be, excuse me, since I mean, you're sighted. So what do you
Mm-hmm.
think about audio description in movies, and
Oh.
if you've used it before, and how it compares to like watching it with and without? And before that, I'm gonna
Oh.
just explain what I guess audio description is in movies,
Okay.
just for people who may not know. Audio description is pretty much like it's a track that goes like over the movie, but it doesn't interfere with the dialogue. It just kind of describes things that are going on in the scenes, like, this person, opens the door and he sees, there's this hiding behind the door or something like that. It's just kind of like,
It's basically the narrator. Like if you
yes,
were
reading a book or
li-
whatever, it'd be narrating
yeah, then
without disturbing the
hmm
dialogue. Uh-huh.
exactly. So yeah. So I like the first time that I actually heard an audio described movie, I was probably in high school. I had no idea that they did it.
Right.
Um, then
58
I went
battery.
to
1, 4,
a
3,
camp
0, 7, 0,
for the
3,
visually impaired,
6,
Right.
1, 7,
and
6.
I discovered it then, right? So I think it's pretty cool and it's helpful, especially like sometimes I like to do other things while I'm watching a movie, like I don't know, working out or something. So that's when I think it's useful. So I think it's mostly cool. And it depends also on the person doing it, because some people are good at it, other people are okay.
Right.
But when you're
A
watching, I
black
feel
and
like
white
you're
image of a
getting
black
extra
object.
insight. And the descriptions are basically probably lines, I think, um, that are lifted from the script. So I
Yes.
feel a lot of
I've
times that
noticed
you're
that.
like, yeah, like I feel like you're getting extra information
Yes.
when you're
Hmm.
doing the audio description. So like I feel like we know more than most people just watching it
Yeah.
without it,
And it kind of sounds like it,
So,
because sometimes it'll say like, they're like even like notes to the actors, I guess, based on the description, right? Because it says like she looks at him suspiciously or something, like
yeah, exactly.
almost like telling him how to portray this scene or whatever. So
Exactly.
so
Yes.
I've noticed
So
that
the like
before. Mm-hmm.
So like when I heard it the first time, I'm like, whoa, this is interesting. And I liked it. Sometimes they even like start the description just before it happens.
Yes, and
So
that's,
a
yeah,
little bit you kind of know, like if it's an action movie, sometimes they'll say, and he jumps, and then like you'll see it happen.
Right.
So like you don't get too much ahead, but
Yeah.
they try to like do it when there's nobody talking or anything. So I think it's, for the most part, I think it's pretty cool. And not all movies have it, which is a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
And like we have a TV like downstairs that doesn't do it, like because there's shows on Netflix that do it.
Right.
But like it's an older TV, so then I can't like make it do it. But the newer TVs, they do it. So
Right.
I'm just like, yay! I can work out and I can listen to it while I'm
Right.
working out.
No, that's cool.
Not have to look up all the time and stuff. So
Right. And
yeah.
and we were watching one of those movies with my sighted friends when I had first kind of lost my eyesight, and I told them, well, let's watch it this way, just to see what it's like. So we're watching Avengers, and one of my friends, he's very picky. He hates a lot of movies. He's very critical, all these things. So pretty much we're watching it, and like you're saying, like there's scenes that it'll kind of describe it before it happens. And they kind of did it several times, and he was like getting annoyed, like, "Oh, come on, man, you're ruining the movie for me." Like before before it happened, it was already like being described, right? So he was kind of like that.
It's just like seconds before it happens.
Yeah, but
So
he's
to me,
he's very picky, because he looks at he was gonna buy a television, and he was kind of looking at like the delay, if there was any delay with like this and that, or even in video, because he's a big video game
my
guy
goodness.
too, so he's very technical. Like he needs it to be like like immediate, you know. So
Yeah,
he's
right.
that kind of person. He's like, I don't know if he's OCD or not, but like he's super picky about
Yeah.
you know, like HD content and the resolution rate and all these things that I don't even know what he's talking about a lot of time. But so he's kind of like that. Yeah. And my
He
brother.
if there were, I was gonna say if there was no audio description, he probably would have found something to complain about.
yeah.
It sounds like.
Oh yeah, he
So,
does. Like he always
yeah.
says, like if I like a movie or whatever, he'll send me a video like what was wrong with the plot of the movie stuff. Like he's like very, he's funny. We get along really well, but we kind of jokingly argue, you know, about certain things.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's kind of like that. And then my brother's very like he's very relaxed. He's like he doesn't mind it at all. But there was a show we were watching on Disney Plus, and it was about basketball. You know, like it was called Big Shot, and it was. Well, it was pretty much about like a girls' basketball team, and the coach is John Stamos. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's on Disney Plus. But anyway, there was like there
No.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, so it's better than you think, right? So me and my brother are watching it, and they're playing like a game, right? And there's a scene where the girl shoots it, and it's kind of like it says she misses, but like there was a lot of drama, you know. Like when they said the narrator said she misses it, but that was like maybe 5 seconds before it actually happened.
Oh.
So the ball's kind of bouncing around very dramatically, like bouncing, and is it gonna go in or not? But I mean, he's like, yeah. that kind of did ruin it. And he's usually not like, you know, picky about a lot of stuff, but in that case, it did ruin that scene because it's like, yeah, maybe next time you won't watch it like that.
Yeah.
So,
but the thing is, like sometimes like they don't want to describe stuff when people are talking, so
Right.
maybe they
and that's exactly why, because they kind of have to pick their spots. And I mean, since I'm blind, I don't mind at all when, you know. But as far as like if it's we're watching it together as a group or whatever, then I'm like, okay, I'll just wear my headphones and kind of like, and then I get OCD about it because I'm trying to time it like with the way they're hearing it. So in my phone, I'm kind of hearing it with description, and then they're playing it on the TV like at you know what I mean? Like since we have the same streaming services, I'll play it on my phone with description, and they'll watch it on TV without it. But then I get all technical, like, okay, let me pause it. I'm like a little off or like this and that, and I'm annoying too, right? So. But other times I'm like, oh, I don't care. I'll just wear my, noise canceling headphones, and at least we're watching the same thing in the same room, kind of thing. But it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
But I really love that there's that option, you know, audio description. So.
Oh, totally. Especially if you're like totally blind, you want to be able to keep up with everyone else and do the same thing
and talk about the movies.
So that, yeah, so that's basically what this show is about. You know, like we watch TV, we listen. The music. This time we didn't have anything about music, but I know that
I'm guessing you will.
Yes, I will have questions about music as well as technology. So I hope everybody enjoyed this show and joins us next time when we have part 2 of the Q&A with Luis. And I guess I will answer questions too, but mostly he will. So
and thank you so much for your time. Thank you for just all the answers that you gave me. And just I hope everybody